Comes through just when we need it. You know, I believe that sometimes God allows difficulty to arise in our life just so we can be reminded that we need Him. You see, that is the reality of life, isn't it? Is that, again, we've said it before, that there's a lot to appreciate and enjoy in life. And God wants us to enjoy it. But God also allows difficulty to arise in our life. Certainly, as we've seen today, He's all-powerful, untamable. Certainly, God is strong enough, isn't He, to disallow difficulty? Isn't He? I mean, if He can create the heavens and the earth, if He controls time, then certainly God is powerful enough to disallow difficulty. And yet it seems that He allows battles to rise in our life. Why? Is He not loving? Does He not care about us? And so why does God allow us to face battles in our life? You say, what kind of battle? I don't know what battle it is that you're facing or have faced or will face. Maybe it's a financial battle you're in. It's a struggle. It's a difficulty. Maybe the bills aren't getting paid. Maybe your job situation isn't stable. You find yourself in a battle financially. Maybe some of you are in a battle for your marriage today. Maybe you are struggling just to keep it together. It's a fight. It's a battle in relationships. Maybe it's a health crisis that God allows to come in your life or the life of your family. Isn't God strong enough to keep it from happening? Isn't He strong enough to heal it? But He hasn't. Why? He's allowed a health battle in your life. Maybe some of you are battling for your kids. They're not going the way that they should go. And you feel like you're fighting for your children. Now, I don't know what your battle is. Maybe you're in a period of time where there's a lot of peace and harmony in your life. And if so, thank God for it and enjoy it. But I do know that as life continues for you and for me, battles will arise. Oftentimes, when things are going great, that's exactly when God allows a battle. Maybe you've been faithful to God and your spiritual life is on fire. And you're doing everything you think that is right in the sight of God, and yet He allows a battle to catch you off guard and to come out of nowhere. What do you do? Maybe some of you are fighting a habit in your life. There's a battle with sin going on in your life and you feel like you're losing. What do you do when God allows battles to rise in your life? How do we handle it? You understand the relevance of this question, right? I mean, really, God wants to instruct us and He wants to encourage us today and tell us, here's why. Here's why I allowed the battles. Wouldn't you like to know that? Have you ever asked God when you're going through it, God, why? Why do you let this happen? Why are you allowing this? God says, listen to me today. I'm going to tell you why. Maybe the next question, after you question God and say, why? You say, God, what do I do? God says, listen today. I'm going to tell you what to do. This is a message God wants to proclaim to you because He wants to help you get through life's battles. We learn why He allows it and what to do when the battles arise from a story in the history of Israel. It was during a period of time in Israel's history where there was some momentary peace. There were a list of bad kings in Israel. And all of a sudden, God allowed a man, a king, to rise up. His name was Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat was a king who followed the heart of his father, David. He was a king that brought the people back and said, I want you to look at his law, look at his word, be instructed from him. He instructed the people to follow the commands of God. He was a great king in the history of Israel where there weren't very many great godly kings. Things were going well because he was godly. God allowed success to come from the hand of Jehoshaphat. He allowed great wealth to be accumulated in the nation of Israel under his reign. Great status started to return to the nation of Israel. They were, under Jehoshaphat's lead, not able to be defeated. Nobody dared stand up against Israel. They were mighty in battle. And yet, as things are going well, as the people are turned and following God, and God is giving success, suddenly out of nowhere arises a threat. Where could it come from? I mean, there's no army that's strong enough to handle Israel because God has been on their side. So who could be coming up against Israel that would cause a threat? Well, because not any one nation could take them, 3 nations joined together in a coalition. And they all decided that they would join forces, 3 mighty nations, and they would come up against Israel. It would be the equivalent of China, the Arab nations, and all of Europe joining forces to come against the U.S. All the great nations say we're going to join together and wipe Israel off the map. And so we find in 2 Chronicles that they come to Jehoshaphat and they say, Jehoshaphat, we got a little problem here. A vast army is coming against us from the southeast, Edom, on the other side of the sea. And by the way, Jehoshaphat, they are only 25 miles away, less than a day away. How could this have happened? Why couldn't they see it? Couldn't they gotten more notice? I mean, it's bad enough that 3 nations are coming together against Israel, but they're 25 miles from our border? What are we going to do? I'm imagining that that's what's going through the mind of Jehoshaphat. How are we going to be able to come up with a strategy in order to face this army? We don't have enough time. And so, I believe rightfully so, the text tells us that Jehoshaphat was what? Afraid. Hey, don't fault him. Because when those trials and conflict and battles arise in your life and in mine, often our human response is that of fear. And let me just encourage you that that is an emotion that is not only justifiable, but it's all right. There's nothing wrong when the crisis arises. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm afraid. I don't know what I'm going to do. The problem is not fear. The problem is your response to fear. What do you do when the circumstances arise and your life starts to seem as if it's crumbling and you don't know what to do and it seems that there's no answers and you don't know that the enemy seems stronger than you are? And you don't know how you're going to make it through. It's okay to say, God, I'm afraid. But the problem is fear can either point us in one of 2 directions. It can either point us to God or it can point away from Him. It can cause us